Start to get the good breaths flowing in and out. Our body relaxing into the ground. And whether you visualize thus with eyes open or closed doesn't matter too much. Take that position. And what we're going to do is imagine that you could visualize your spinal cord. So your spinal cord is inside of your vertebrae. And that's how your brain communicates messages all over to your body. The body communicates back to the brain through it as well. So however you visualize that, maybe kind of imagine an electrical current just sending little sparks all the way down, or maybe you visualize it another way. Just imagine the spinal cord and how it might send messages all over the body. And imagine if our spine were to kind of shrink up and compress a little bit. Imagine what that does to the nerves. Imagine those nerves getting a little bit more pinched off, kind of like driving on a freeway and suddenly everything is forced down to one lane and there's so much more congestion. The communication doesn't happen nearly as well. And then imagine the opposite, lots and lots of length happening through the spine growing nice and tall, really good posture setup. Imagine how much more easily the communication can happen. Imagine even just connecting that word communication with the spine. Communication on all sorts of levels, whatever that means to you. So these are the ideas that we're playing with today. Our ultimate goal is to try to help the spine become longer. We're doing this not only by stretching it, but also we'll start off with a couple of nice little core things to help the muscles surrounding the spine to be able to support the vertebrae and the spine really well. So in that way, we're structured, we've got the structure, we've got the flexibility, and our spine is getting longer and taller, our posture better. So that's the idea that will lead us into our fun little class today. So with that, to get us started, let's start to take the knees into the chest. A hand on each knee, just take easy little movements for the low back and the hips. Good. So that's kind of our first way to tune into how the spine is doing. Sometimes we go within to just keep it easy, or sometimes it feels great. So either way, adjust. And then the first thing we're going to do is drop our feet close to the glutes. We're going to take a couple of really slow bridge poses so we can feel the accentuation of every point of our spine. So feet are planted close to glutes, hands are on the floor by the hips. Let yourself start by scooping tailbone under. Feel how the back part of the hips and the low back presses down. Let's start to lift the hips. Then roll up through the low back. As you roll up through the ribs, just see how high you can lift. And then roll down nice and slow so you can really feel the individual parts of the spine starting to drop down one at a time. Hips and tailbone down last. Good. So let's take 4 more like that, nice and slow. Scoop under. Start to lift. And slow rolling back down. Good. Heading toward 3. And release. Taking 2. And roll down. Last one. Beautiful. So feeling all that established, everything that we just set up. Now, bottoms of the feet come together, the knees start to open. So before, when we were really paying attention to all the various muscles that were warming up around the spine, we're paying attention to how it felt to move the vertebrae. Now, notice how the knees opening out in a cobbler's pose makes the low back arch. So let that happen. It's nice for this part of our body to occasionally get a chance to arch like this. Think of the spine as having 3 different arches. So our low back arches one way, the rib area arches the other way, and then the neck arches back the same as the first. So by setting up those arches nicely, that's how we're able to create length. So as we're resting here, just a few more breaths with the knees open. Let's take a little shoulder stretch. Let the right arm cross all the way over the chest. Left arm hugs around it to pull it in. Sometimes I'll kind of inch my head a little bit further to the left so the right shoulder is stretching really nice. Good. Open the arms. And start to switch the head and shoulder out. Second side opening nicely. Take another huge breath in. Out. Release the arms. Let the knees pick up. So that arch we did to the low back, we're now going to completely switch that up. Low back is going to be pressed flat to the ground. So notice to do that, you have to kind of tuck the hips a little bit. You have to engage the core to keep the low back solid. You're even welcome for this first movement to tuck the thumbs a little bit under the hips to keep the low back really solid on the earth. So we got that low back flat. From there, one knee at a time comes up. Knees are bent at 90-degree angle. And what we're going to do is let the toes make their way a bit closer to the ground, but pay attention to the low back. The low back starts to lift off the ground. That's the point where you stop. Whether the toes touch the ground or not, doesn't matter. That's where you stop. And when you stop, come back in. Knees coming all the way as far as you can crunch it. Good. So repeating that just with the speed of our breath. I like to take nice inhales as the toes try to lower. Exhales when I crunch it back in. Start to build that awareness of the low back. Feel how much core effort it takes to keep that low back flat. Like you can't do it if the core isn't just really tight already. So if you're doing okay, take another 3. And 2. And eventually that last one. Good. From there, undo the arms, slide the hands left and right. With an inhale, tilt the knees partway to one side. Use the exhale. The exhale contracts the muscles, so use that contraction to bring you back. Less about momentum, more about that very exhale, initiating the return. So go at the speed of your breath. Inhale, tilt one side. Exhale, contraction back. So if you're still doing okay, take 2 more to each side. Whenever you finish that last one, let the hands come to the knees, just easy rocking for 2 or 3 breaths. We'll take one more strengthening thing here before we take the bonus stretches while we're on our back. So this is just a little break for the legs before we go to that last one. So when it feels good, full straight legs up to sky. Hands can release down wherever's comfortable. The toes are pointed at first, and then right foot flexes. Lower the right leg down, hover above the ground. Point the toes, right leg lifts back up. And left leg, inhale. Point toes, lift up, exhale. And right flex. Point to lift. Left flex. Point to lift. We're doing okay. Let's take another 5 each. 5. 5. 4. 4. 3. 3. 2. 2. Doing awesome. One last for each if you can. Good. So once you finish, bend the knees, clasp hands around the right knee. Send the left leg out long. Just drop it down. Give this right knee a chance to be hugged in nice and tight. Good. Right knee goes out to the right. The right hand supports it. And lift the knee back up. Left hand takes over the knee. Tilt it about halfway to the left. This is the point where the hip is starting to lift off the ground. So it's like an IT band, or sometimes it's fulfilled as mostly in the hips. Good, and continue to let this twist as far over as it still feels good for the low back. So it doesn't have to be super far. Just pay attention to the low back and see how much those muscles want to rotate open. Just take a couple of bonus breaths here. I'm gonna say flop the third. Work. So start to lift knee back up. Right leg drops all the way long. Left knee comes in. Hug hands around the knee. Pull it tightly in. Left hand supports the knee as it goes wide. Knee lifts back up. Right hand takes over, tilt it to the 45-degree angle. Hip is just starting to lift off the ground. Feel IT band or hip depending on your tightness. Good. Continue to let the spine spiral all the way over as far as it feels good for the low back. That low back a chance to open up nicely. Take one more deep inhale. Exhale, return. From here, send both legs long to the ground. We're going to set up a fish pose. So our hands will need to end up palm face down under the glutes. So kind of rock your hips side to side to get the hands under. Once you're there, the legs slide long. Do a little crunch to get yourself propped up on elbows. Squeeze the elbows a little closer. Heart lifts up. Head rocks back. You can either rest it on the shoulder area or you can let the crown of the head go back toward the ground. 2 more breaths right here. Good. Gradually tuck the chin in, widen the elbows. Turn onto your back, free out the hands. One last stretch on our back. This will be the banana stretch, arm stretch all the way to the space above head. Take the right ankle, cross it over left. Then scoot the legs just a little bit over to the left. Up above head, grab the right wrist, scoot the shoulders a little bit to the left. So as you're taking your body to this direction, imagine you can feel the spine starting to get longer through this half. A couple of good easy breaths. Start to release, uncross, and we'll take it to second side. Left leg ankle over, legs to the right. Up above head, grab left wrist, scoot the shoulders to the right. And find that quality that's going to work. Huge inhales. And exhales. One more inhale. Exhale, start to release. Return back onto the mat. Let's try to do a roll up. So fingers stretch to the back wall as we take an inhale. Exhale, arms lift. Try to lift up the shoulders and the wrists and the back. We're coming all the way up to try to sit tall. Yeah, use the floor. We like that you need that help. Good. So sitting up tall, 3 times. Your spine rounds. You engage the core to come about halfway back. And lift the spine right back up to that really tall spine, really tall posture. 2 more. Exhale. I'll return really tall. 1 more. And lift. So from here, sitting up tall, now the arms come up. Inhale. Exhale, arms return. 2 more. Feel that lift really tall. And exhale. This last time, leave the arms up. Try to lift even taller. 1 more inhale. Exhale, release forward. The first good stretch for hamstrings today. So if it doesn't feel as flexible as normal, that's okay. Be patient. We'll get there little by little. As we rise up, let's take the bottoms of feet to cobbler. Tilting forward over the legs. Feel the muscles of the back getting this chance to get into a nice stretch up and forward. Especially let the weight of the head be heavy so it kind of pulls the rest of the spine down with us in the stretch. Starting to rise up. Let's take the legs just easy, cross-leg position. From here, let the right ear start to drop over the right shoulder. If you want more, the left hand can float off to the left side. Play with exactly the placement that's going to be helpful. Some people might go slightly forward. I personally prefer when it goes slightly backward, but feel a good spot for that left shoulder and neck. Nice and easily, and rises. Start to switch, left ear down. The right hand's welcome to start floating. Find the placement that works on that side. Good, head rises, nice and easy. Left hand finds back to the left. Let it go all the way to the floor. Right hand reaches up and over, moving into the side ribs. And lifting up. Take it to second side. Feel it not only just kind of leaning, but also almost like growing to reach over. Good, and as we rise back up, let's head onto our knees. We're gonna end up in a high kneeling spot for a camel pose. So toes are welcome to tuck behind us, that's make it easier. Hands can start at the low back, making sure that feels good. Push the hips forward, heart arches up. As long as neck's comfortable, continue to let the head drop back. And your choice if the hands drop down or not. Again, feel like it's not just kind of crunching over backwards, but feel length. The whole spine trying to grow here. One more breath in. Out. Chin in. Hands protect the low back. And we're going to come out to a nice child pose. Knees are welcome to set up a bit wider if that's helpful. Fingers reach forward. And even walk your fingers slightly forward of where they normally end up, so that way the spine is almost getting pulled long. With extra length happening. From here, starting to gaze up toward the top of the mat. 3 times, what we're going to do is try to slither our heart forward, keeping the heart as close to the ground as we can. It requires a little bit of arm strength. Then rise up to whatever version of cobra feels good at this moment. Shifting back to child. Take 2 more like that when you're ready. Heart tries to stay close to the ground. And cobra. Child. One more. Like to just go straight up to down dog this time. Go right ahead. Wiggles through legs is fine. Adding more and more mobility there. Really the biggest thing we're trying to set up in this down dog is the sensation of spine as tall and long as possible. So notice if you feel rounding in any parts of your spine. If so, allow the knees to be a little bit bent so that the hips can go higher, the spine can lift more. Good. So from this spot, let's start to lift our right leg up to sky. Feel it reach up high. One inhale. Exhale, we're going to step that right foot in between hands. Back heel drops down to the ground. From here, hands sweep forward and up into warrior one. So have the sensation of spine trying to lift. Legs drop down. Good. So right hand, start to drop it down through the side. It can rest on the back leg, kind of anchoring it. The left hand reaches up to continue to lean a little bit over to the right. Good. Hands both rise back up. Clasp hands together, releasing pointer fingers up. Kind of fill the side ribs, lift even higher. From here, start to lean forward over your front leg. More and more weight comes onto your front leg until, in a moment, we're suddenly warrior three. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, fingers drop down to the ground. That back leg continues to lift higher, standing split. Good. And then like a flamingo, this left knee comes into the nose. You're going to try to stand, so shift your weight over your standing leg and see if you can roll your way up with balance. It's hard. Good. Spine is up. See if you can float this left knee in front. Maybe hands can clasp under. Whatever we're doing, spine goes up tall. If this is stable, maybe hamstring stretch, like trying to reach out and good work. So we release. Let this left leg cross in front of the other, toes close. Just easy round down with your spine. Pull the back legs in a little bit of an IT band stretch. Just enjoy it. Take a soft bend to our knees, roll the spine back up. Kind of try to reverse that last part of the leg stretch. So knee tries to float. If we're grabbing, spine is tall. If we're not grabbing, spine is tall. Set up straight. Leg is trying to get to the hamstring stretch for a moment if the balance is okay. Good. As you release, sweep it back. Any arm variation, warrior three. Just the toes land. And we're taking a little twist. So left hand comes to that front thigh, the other hand spirals. Or if anybody wants to drop to elbow, that's fine too. Anytime we take a twist, think of spine trying to get long first and then spiral around. Good. Unwind the spine from the twist, drop the hands down. This front leg is going to sweep under and back up to three-legged dog. So let's bend our knees, sending the toes a little bit behind us. Either stay here for a couple of breaths, or there's a little bonus variation for anybody who wants to try it. It's kind of funky. Walk your hands a good 3 or 4 steps in, and then left hand tries to see if it can grab those back toes. Like I said, kind of funky. Good. So if you've given it a try or not, let's go ahead and release back to plank. Maybe keep the right toes floating. Lower chaturanga. Feel that release through the glutes as you take it up to the cobra. And child pose or down dog. Feel free to do little squiggles again for that glute helping out. Good work. So let's try another side. When you're ready, up to down dog. Left leg floats. Step left foot in between hands, back heel down. Rising up, warrior one. Set up the spine up. Tall, tall, tall. At the same time, the leg would try to ground a little bit lower. Good. Left hand starts to drop down. Anchored on the back leg. Right hand, we reach up to lean over. Good. Rising back up. Both hands clasped. Point the fingers to the spine. Feel the spine getting pulled up taller and taller. Move forward. So more and more and more weight gets set over that front leg until we can float. Warrior 3. Inhale. Exhale. Drop hands down. Continue to float right leg up behind you. Standing split. Good. Like a flamingo, right knee comes in. Shift your weight over the standing leg and then roll the spine up. Good, knee floats. Maybe stay. Maybe cross under. Maybe hamstring stretch if we're here. Spine still lifted tall. Good. This leg crosses in front. And let the spine just easy roll down. Softening to the knees as we rise up. Play with that balance for a moment. This right thigh is trying to float in front of us. Balance is there, maybe clasp under. Either way, posture, spine is lifting tall. Maybe hamstring stretch kicking forward. Sweep back, any arm variation, warrior 3. Lunges the toes. It's a big twist. So hands and thigh is perfectly fine. If it's easy to reach elbow, you're welcome to drop the elbow down. Remember, spine is straight before we spiral around. Good. Easy release out. Hands drop down. Left leg slides up high, three-legged dog. Bend the knees, sending the toes behind. You can either stay here, or if you're trying to do that funky challenge thing, walk the hands 3 or 4 hand distances in. Maybe right hand tries to touch the left toes behind your back. Good. Walking back out to plank. Maybe keep those left toes floated as you lower chaturanga. We're into nice cobra. And we've earned it. Let's take a good child. Perhaps allow the spine to just kind of inch forward a little bit. Locking the hands in. From here, we shift our hips to the left, so our feet should be tucked into the right. Our right hand grabs the right ankle. Left hand is going to try to reach up to the sky and lean all the way over. Continue to let that right ear just drop down to the right shoulder. Good. So from here, that top hand, that left hand, is going to slowly sink until it's floating right above the ground. Feel how that pulls the left shoulder next. Ease the spine up. Shift the hips to the second side. So grabbing onto left ankle. Right hand reaches up. Tries to lean all the way over. So you need to let that left ear drop to left shoulder. That right hand slowly returns its way back down to hover above ground, pulling the right shoulder into the stretch. Good. Easing up. From here, take yourself up and over onto hands and knees. We're going to do just a moment with dolphin pose to build one more thing of strength through the core, trying to lift the hips up high. So this one is done elbows dropping down. For a moment, hug around your elbows just to make sure the elbow placement is right under shoulders. From there, release that hug. One hand makes a fist, the other hand puts around the fist. And then it's like a down dog, just with elbows down. So toes tuck, try to lift the hips up, and then see if the toes can walk any further in. So 3 options. Option 1, just stay in this shape. This is great. Option 2, one leg lifts and lowers, then the other leg lifts and lowers. Option 3, do that same lift with a little bit of swing, like you're trying to pick up to a wall or something. So it's going to be up to you how many of these reps or how long to do it, especially listen to breath. The moment the breath starts to catch and it gets pretty hard, just drop back down to a child pose again. Let's try to feel our breath slowing down over 2 more gradual cycles. Come back up, downward facing dog. Right leg floats up to sky. Step right foot in between hands. And then right away, walk hands to the left long edge of the mat. Turn toes with you. Hands are right in front of you, planted. So 3 times, what we're going to do is lift up to tented fingers. The spine is trying to get really, really straight as we send the chest through. Nice and straight spine is basically what we're trying to aim for. And then from there, flatten the hands back down. Point the elbows to the space in between your legs. Bend the elbows to try to get the elbows as close to the ground as you can. Let's do 2 more of those, lifting up to fingertips. Spine is super, super, super straight. And plant the hands, bend the elbows, sink down. 1 more. Gradually lifting up. And down. And then come up to flat palms, arms locked straight. So imagine you had the strength to go straight from here to a handstand. That's the kind of thing that we're like kind of trying to take that initial step toward. All we're doing is shifting shoulders past fingertips. Engage your core, the very low part of the abdomen, and try to lift your heels up, curling that low abdominal in. Good. Drop the heels back down. Elbows do the same thing we did before. Bend them, point them straight back, lower. So 2 more like that. Flat hands, shoulders go past fingertips, heels lift, curl in, And back down, weight back, elbows bent. One more. Straight arms, shoulders past fingertips, curl in, lift the heels, and heels down, elbows bent, drop down. Good. So now walk your hands closer to the right foot, bend your right knee. You can either stay up high or go all the way down to heel, low. Couple of breaths, enjoy that inner thigh stretch. Good. Shift over to left leg. As we walk our hands back up to the top of the mat, this front foot is going to swing back, three-legged dog. Shift forward to plank, take that right knee to nose, and lift toes back. Two more like that. To nose plank, and up. One more. Lift up, and then send that right leg under and through, pick and toes. Stay lifted for a moment, so the back knee squeeze as far back as it can, and then take a moment to explore the lift of the heart up in the back bend. So starting to walk the hands a little bit closer, maybe even press the right hand into the right thigh, and feel not the sensation of kind of crunching it in the back, but feel leg to arch up. Good. Take one more inhale. Exhale, ease onto hands, ease down to elbows, feel that release. Out. We're going to take it to down dog. Feel free to add little movements for a second, helping that hip to readjust back. So the spine give this chance to be really straight, really long, no matter how bent the knees need to be. Left leg floats up to sky. Step left foot in between hands. Then walk the hands over to the right edge, turn the toes to the long edge. So we'll do 3 more cycles. You choose which one you liked best. Go up to fingertips and then down, or trying to rock your weight forward like you're prepping for a handstand, and then down to the bent elbow. Good, so we've done 1. When you're ready, head up to 2. One more. Release, give it a couple of easy breaths. This time just grab hands for right ankle, pull your torso into the right leg. Onto left ankle. Walk hands up to the top of the mat. That front foot swings up. Last time, 3-legged dog. 3 cycles, knee to nose, shift forward plank, and reach. And for 2. And 1. Good. Pigeon, send it under and through. Back knee is scooted back. Take the back bend first. Remember, it's a lift to create the shape. Inhale. Exhale, easy, gradual release. More slow breaths. You start to come up to hands. This time, rock your weight onto your left hip and continue to swing the legs open. We're facing toward the front door. Nice wide straddle shape. So each of us are in slightly different positions with our spine here. So if spine is rounding your back, take bent knee shape. That'll help you. Hands could even just stay planted behind. If you can take a nice straight spine up, then start to bring the fingertips to the space in front of you. And all we're doing today is walking hands forward to the point where spine is still straight. Point where it starts to round, that's our sign, okay? That's where I'm gonna stop. And just kind of, this is being playful. Just see how far you go without needing the rounding. Kind of helps our body know how our hamstrings are in relation to our back muscles. And it's nice to kind of have those check-ins. Take 3 more breaths wherever we ended up. Easy, walk the hands back. Lots of support for the spine. Pick up the knees to help them bend. And then slide both feet up to the top of the mat. Bend knee shape. So, taking a twist, remember before you head into the twist, the first thing is spine straight, and then it'll be the spiral around that straight spine. So we start off with the right hand crossing to the outside of that left thigh and spiral. That's version 1. If anybody wants to take version 2, it's right hand grabbing for that left foot, pulling the leg straight, cross it over, and then that's where we twist from. So again, spine straight, spiral around. Inhale. Exhale, soft release. Left elbow comes to right thigh or left hand for right foot. Remember, straight spine first and then spiral. Another inhale. Exhale. Easy, soft release. Make sure there's enough room on the mat for you to roll back. And then just see how slowly you take it back. Might be grabbing thighs. You might be using just the strength of the back. It's up to you right now. But just see how softly we can settle the spine down. Some of us might be immediately ready for Shavasana. We might even keep our knees planted, let the legs fall into one another. just because that's so comforting on the low back after all the spine lengthening you did today. Others might need a couple of additional stretches, any poses, banana, happy baby, plow, whatever might work for our spine right now. For those that want additional stretches, go right ahead, don't feel that at all. And those that even want a different type of shavasana, this bent knee version, you can also head to that. So this is basically a couple of minutes until your body feels ready to release. Sooner or later, we'll get there. When you are comfortable, eventually, perhaps return your mind's eye to your internal visualization of the spine. Just kind of check in with the spine, especially that vertebrae, that spinal column that goes right in the middle. Check in with just envisioning how the electricity is flowing through it right now, how the communication is traveling through. Calm breaths. We'll be here for several minutes. Just let your body relax. Begin to slowly inhale, sit deep. And exhale. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes. Ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually taking a nice fetal push to one side. Enjoy a few bonus breaths until you feel ready to rise sooner or later. So we're working our way up to a seated place. Feel the muscles around your spine so much stronger, posture able to easily maintain. Visualize that spinal column, the communication easily able to transfer from the brain to the body, back. Think of perhaps all these deeper levels of communication that perhaps we've also strengthened in our process. Maybe learning for us to listen to the little messages the body's trying to give us. Listening to that just a little bit better. Or maybe thinking of recent communications we've had with people, thinking of how we can better communicate or better listen. So whether it's the physical level of our body communicating via the nerves or these other levels of communication, we allow ourselves to deepen that as we head forward, wrapping up this time with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. Be filled with light, happiness, and peace. Namaste.